cereals talk about wheat, rice, corn, and oats. Vegetables like potato, that's root vegetables like potato. The meaning of OFSP is orange flesh sweet potato because there is another, this is a biofortified potato. The usual one, the one we are used to is the creamy and the cream flesh sweet potato. So of course we also get carbohydrate from yam, and a good source of starch and sugars that are found naturally in fruit as well. So let me say that energy is stored in the first phase is stored as glycogen in humans, and in plants it is stored as starch in plants. So that when we hear starch, we understand the basics. So an excess intake of carbohydrate, of course, leads to excess weight and obesity. And of course, it may even give you dental issues, dental caries, like your teeth are not strong, they begin to have issues. And of course, it can also lead to diabetes as well. So, and we need to also limit intake of added sugars like soft drinks. And this is the reason why, because when you are too used to soft drinks, your insulin, the insulin that is secreted in your pancreas, gets too used to simple sugars that it will not be able to undo complex sugars. It will not be able to undo complex sugar in the process of metabolism. And if it's not able to undo complex sugars in the course of time, you are going to have too much blood sugar. And of course, that is what we talk about when we talk about diabetes. So let's quickly look at proteins. Proteins are amino acids, and there are about 22 amino acids that the body makes use of. The body makes use of about 22 amino acids, and they are divided into categories. Now, 9 out of these amino acids are called essential amino acids. So basically, these 9 amino acids, whenever we eat anything that we claim it's protein, we must get these 9 essential amino acids from it into our body system. We have 5 that are conditional, maybe based on health reasons. Your body cannot actually form those protein on its own, because aside the 9 essential amino acids, all other amino acids are formed by the body. In fact, almost everything in your body is a form of protein. All the hormones in the body are forms of protein. Your red blood cells, hemoglobin, they are forms of protein. Insulin is a form of protein. Your white blood cell is a form of protein. So the body uses protein to build. They are like building blocks. So everything is a form of protein. So these 22 amino acids are used by the body just the way we have the 26 letters of the alphabet. So we can pick different letters to form millions of words. So that's the same way the body makes use of these 22 amino acids, puts them together in different arrangements and different order to form the entire body structure. So proteins are used for growth and repair of body tissues, and they're used to form structure of soft tissues such as skin and muscles and heart tissues as well. And they control fluid, electrolyte, and acid-base balance in the body. So for those of us who have been following this COVID-19 pandemic, also you will hear something like the virus cannot actually cope with high pH level, which is like the base pH level. So here is where acid-base balance comes in the body. So when you take foods that have high pH, like mango, like lemon, like ginger, this protein helps. After it has done the work it is doing, protein helps to control that balance, because the body must not be too acidic and it must not be too basic. It has to be in between. It has to be in between, and that is why the water we take has a neutral pH level. So, like I said, we can also derive energy from proteins. There's a kind of metabolism that the body does to convert protein into energy. So, and when we don't take enough protein, it results in slow growth rate in all parts of the body, including the brain, and the common one that I know as kwashiorkor. And protein doesn't really have an adverse effect when it comes to excess. Excess of protein ultimately results in urea, which we urinate. We excrete that out through our urethra, or we excrete that out. We don't ingest it through our anus. The ingestion is the one that the body did not even use at all. So, and the main sources of protein, the best source of proteins are actually animal proteins. They contain all essential amino acids, the animal protein. Of course, there are also plant sources of proteins like nuts, beans, milk, nuts and beans. There are also plant sources of protein, but the best source is actually animal protein. But albeit those animal protein often comes to some unwanted compounds in the body, like bad fat. So when we get to lipids, I will explain that. So we are in lipids now. So lipids are what we also refer to as fats. So and often called triglycerides. These are the classes of good fats that we have that the body makes use of. So fat can either be good or bad. Now the one we should run away from is bad fats. We should not run away from good fats because fat is needed in the body for the transporting of some vitamins, fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin A, and I think vitamin K. So fat is actually needed in the body. It helps to regulate the body temperature. It helps to guide against shock in the body. It also supplies energy to the body. Like I said, the fat gives more energy to the body than carbohydrate, provided it is good fat. Now, the good fats are called unsaturated fats, either monounsaturated or polyunsaturated fats. So I would have loved to explain what we mean by saturation, but let me just explain it in a layman. Unsaturated fat, they don't sleep at room temperature. They don't sleep at room temperature. But bad fats, that are saturated fat, trans fats, cholesterol, they have the tendency of sleeping at room temperature. That is why when you boil your meat, when it is cold, you will see some, for those meats that are not trimmed, that contain so much of bad fat in them, you will see it become solid, like whitish. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you see it become whitish. Those are the bad fats from that meat that in the process of boiling and eating has mixed with the H2O, with the water in it. And by the time it's coming back to room temperature, they're already sleeping. For those of us that know some veg oil we used to use in the past, that when you live like this, you're sleeping. Whenever you want to use it, you have to put it on maybe your pot or your stove to melt it. Those kind of fats are bad. And the butter, the margarine, all those butter and margarine that some of us like to take with bread are under this category of fat. They are bad fats. So, but how do you know good fats? Good fats do not sleep at room temperature. They don't sleep at room temperature. So an example of good fat is omega-3 fatty acid, which a lot of nutritionists and even medical doctors recommend because they help to lower bad cholesterol level in the body. They help to melt it away. They help to chew it out. So this kind of fatty acids are good. And of course, you can get them from fishes. You can get them from catfish. You can get them from salmon fish. A lot of fishes contain some levels of omega-3 fatty acid. Of course, of all the fishes, salmon fish contains more of this omega-3 fatty acid than all the other fishes. So every food has nutrients they have more of than the others. So they have there's always the good in the bad and the bad in the good. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So like I said, fats are a very concentrated source of energy. Looking at the functions, I've mentioned that before. And they help to provide essential fatty acid in the body, like linoleic and linolenic. So, and they help to transport and to absorb fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, and E. And we'll get to see the importance of vitamins and minerals and the actual role they perform in the body and what they can help with in terms of weight losing for those of us who want to lose weight. So fat also gives the body its shapes and insulates the body, assisting in the maintenance of body temperature. I've mentioned this before. And of course, we can see deficiency in starvation and weight loss. Also, you know, somebody is suddenly growing lean and lean, that person is deficient of fat. So don't forget I said earlier on that carbohydrates are actually converted as fat in the body.
I can join back.
Are we together? Hello?
We are together, sir.
Okay. So carbohydrate can actually be transformed into fat in the body. So carbohydrate, let me put it like, is an indirect fat in the body, while the fat we take in is a direct fat. The lipids we take in are direct fat in the body. So and some dietary sources of lipids include oils, fishes, and egg yolks, like I said earlier on. And the saturated fats, the bad fat that is not good, can be found in non-trimmed meats that are not trimmed. Fried food, cakes, biscuits, pastries, chocolate, butter, margarine, all those things are sources of bad fats. By mono and polyunsaturated fat, which is good for the body, can be found in vegetable oils, fish oils, and nuts. So that's about fat. So let's quickly move on to water. Water doesn't have enemy. Very important to life. It's sometimes we can live some number of days without food, but you can guess how long we can stay without water. It is very important to life. In fact, research has proven the fact that every living thing is made of 2/3 of water, or what we call moisture content. Because when you talk about moisture, there's no, you still, by the time you start deeply, you see the role of water in moisture too. So in terms of moisture content of the body, we are 2/3 of water. Even the whole earth is 2/3 of water. Plants are 2/3 water. So if you, let's say if you have a fish now, for instance, I'm a fish producer. By the time you dry fish, you notice that it will definitely lose 2/3 of the weight. Then the weight will really reduce because probably you have removed the guts and the gills. So 2/3 of that fish is water. So after you dry it, you are left with 1/3 of the weight of that fish. So that's just like an example. So it's really important for us to take water. And an average adult contains about 33.1 liters of water content, either in form of fluid or anything. Talk about your blood, your white blood cell, your plasma, everything. They are all moisture that has to do with the presence of water in the body. So and on a daily basis, we need at least about 2.1 liters of water a day, and of which we get about 0.9 liters out of this from the food that we take in. So ideally, we need 1 liter of water for 1,000 calories. And an average adult needs about 2,500 calories, that is calories of energy a day. So which means we need about 2.5 liters of water a day, ideally for the body. So and water has important function in the body. It helps us to flex our muscle. That's why we can make use of our muscle anyhow we like. We blink our eyes. It helps to carry oxygen and nutrients to our cells. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Then it helps to cushion our joints, convert food. It helps to convert food into energy. Water is also needed in the conversion of food into energy. And we also know that water is used to remove waste from the body when we urinate. All those waste comes with water, and deficiency can be seen in dehydration. So let's look at micronutrients as well. Micronutrients like vitamins and minerals. Now, vitamins and minerals, the body do not actually make use of this, but they are important in the body because their absence is catastrophic in the body. They must be in the body because when they're in the body, they enable the body to make use of the macronutrients. They are like catalysts. It's like when you put corn inside the wedu when you are cooking, you know, it makes the wedu to quickly get soft. So, and for those of us that did chemistry, are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm hearing some voice under the ground.
Yes, that's I already moved that person.
Okay, so vitamins, I mean, they're like catalysts. So if we remember, for those of us who did science, chemistry, we learned that catalyst helps to speed up the rate of reaction, but they don't actually partake in the reaction. So let me just put it this way. They're like friends in the body. You know, there are some friends that if you don't see them, you'll not be alive. But when they come around you like this, you are energetic. What you have not been doing for some few days that the friends were not around you, they will start doing it. You see, if it's your child, you will start playing up and down. They will start pursuing each other because those friends are around. But once the friends leaves and go to their house, she's back to being a dull person, or he or she's back to being a dull person. I don't know if you get my analogy.
Yes.
So this is the importance of vitamins and mineral in the body. So we have water-soluble vitamins and we have fat-soluble vitamins. Fat-soluble vitamins include vitamin A, D, K, and E. While water-soluble vitamins, vitamin C, and all the vitamin B complex. All the B complex vitamins, they are all water-soluble. Vitamin C is often referred to as ascorbic acid. And like I said, they have their functions. Like the presence of vitamin C in the body enables the body to produce collagen. This is the protein that gives our skin strength and elasticity. So, and of course, looking at a vitamin like vitamin K, if our body is deficient of vitamin K, our blood will not clot easily. When you have wounds, it will not heal up on time. So as such, nose bleeding could mean life or death if we have vitamin K in our body. And we can't also make red blood cells without the presence of vitamin B12. So I'm sure we can see all the things I have on the slides, and they are named vitamin B1, thiamine, hydrochloride, riboflavin, pyridoxine, hydrochloride, niacin, nicotinamide, or niacinamide. So I don't want to bog us with too much of this thing. So I believe when I send this, we can take time to go through some of the sources of these vitamins, because I want to make sure I complete this slide and take us to a final destination I've actually prepared for this class. So still on vitamins, I've said we have fat-soluble vitamin A, often referred to as retinol, or carotenoids, and we have vitamin D, cholecalciferol. Also there, we have vitamin K that we can find in food like alfalfa, spinach, cabbage, and egg yolk. So they are fat-soluble vitamins, and they all have their functions in the body. I don't want to bog us. There are plenty. So vitamin E is also found in nuts, but they are very important. Like I said, without them in the body, there will be no metabolism, will be difficult. So, and this is why when you take fruits and vegetables, if you are dieting, when they say you should diet and take fruit and vegetable, this is why you lose weight, because the continuous presence of vitamins and minerals will enable the body to carry out metabolism and begin to burn up excess fats in the body. So those fats will now be utilized by the body as energy. That is why when you take when you take this drug called B complex, BICO, do we know the drug?
Yes, sir.
You know, it gets you hungry.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So this is what happens when we take vitamins. It increases our appetite, because the body will now make use of the stored energy in the body and be looking for a new source of energy, and that informs the stimulus in the body that stimulates what we call hunger. That one is another topic on its own in human nutrition. So let's quickly look at minerals. Minerals like vitamins also serve very important functions to the human body. And like vitamins, they are chemicals in the human body that the body needs them to function properly. So, but unlike vitamins, we get vitamins from food, from fruits, from vegetables, but mineral comes entirely from the earth, although we find them in food as well, but they actually retain their chemical identity. They don't change. So this means that from the time that a mineral is ingested to the body to the time it is excreted, it is never changed into anything else. They remain what they are. They don't change in form. They don't change in chemical form in the body. They remain what they are. While vitamins change in form in the body, these ones remain what they are. So, and we have what we call the major minerals, and we have the trace minerals. Now, don't forget that vitamins and minerals are micro. They are made in quantity. Now, in this quantity too, we have major and trace minerals. So the major minerals and minerals are needed in a higher amount in the body, while the trace minerals are needed in very little amount. And we have about 7 major minerals, the likes of calcium for strong teeth and healthy bones, sodium for heart balance, phosphorus, chloride, potassium, magnesium, and sulfur. And we also have trace minerals. These ones are 9, making 16 in whole. The whole of the minerals the body needs is 16. That we have iron, manganese, zinc, chromium, copper, molybdenum, iodine, fluorine, and selenium. So when I send this slide, we will see some foods that contain some of these. Sodium and chloride can be found in salt. Our table salt that we take at home is sodium chloride. I hope we know that.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, and calcium, of course, can be found in snail shells, seafoods like crab, crayfish, and the like. Phosphorus can be found in eggs. So, there are a whole lot of them. So, we must keep in mind that vitamin, minerals, and the classes of food called fibers, they don't add to muscle strength, they don't supply energy, and they don't cure diseases actually, but they are very important and they enable antibody to fight diseases. So, their role in the body is like the role of a catalyst. So when they're in the body performs well, but they don't actually do the work. It's like, let me use another analogy, maybe a manager in a factory. So when the manager is not around, the factory workers are lazy. They don't go about their work. But once the manager is around, the manager will not do anything, but his presence will drive everybody to work. I don't even get this.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, so they are found mainly in fruits and vegetable, and as well as meats like what we call tinueno, all those shaki body. We get a lot of vitamins from all those livers, intestine, all those tinueno. We get a lot of vitamins and minerals from them as well, because that's where the body normally stores some of these vitamins and minerals when they are in the body. So, having talked about all the various classes of nutrients, I'm coming down to recommended dietary allowance, because the question most of us will be having is, how do we know we are taking in balanced diet? How do we know that what we are eating is balanced? How do we know in what quantity we should eat? So of course, we cannot be measuring every time, but we can at least be conscious. We can use our common sense to look at it. But the common sense will only work if we are knowledgeable in what we ought to be knowledgeable about. Now, this is what we call the recommended dietary allowance, which is the amount of selected nutrient considered adequate to meet the known nutrient needs of healthy people. Note, I didn't say sick people that are healthy. Like this is what ideally every food we should be eating. These are the amount of nutrients we ought to be getting from them on a daily basis. And they vary from male to female, and they vary according to age brackets too. Like we can see on the slides out there, you have males 11 to 14, 15 to 18. You have females, we have pregnant women, you have lactating mothers in first 6 months and second 6 months. And we also see the place of weight also in determining the amount of nutrients that we need in the body. And we can see this, we have energy, protein, we have vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, down to the minerals of how many of these we need in our body. But the minerals that are mostly mentioned there are the major minerals: calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, iron, zinc, and we also have some few trace minerals also among them. So, and we can see the grammage too. Energy is measured in kilocalories. So, and oftentimes we see these things in food products that we buy, but sometimes we don't know how to interpret them. Some of the food we eat don't even contain this nutritional information. So, having understood this recommended dietary allowance now, let's look at how we tend to see them in food. And for foods that don't have them, how can we know that, okay, this one has more of protein, this one has more of carbohydrate? How can we know? So I will quickly go to this next slide. So I just want to use this as an example. Now, so many of us are familiar with this, yes or no?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we see this on food products.
Yeah.
You go to supermarkets, you see it on spaghetti, you see it on Indomie, several things. You see nutritional factor, it is called nutritional information. And oftentimes we don't understand how to interpret them. You know. And me, whenever I want to buy anything, I'm always checking this nutritional fact. Why? particularly because of bad fat. I want to see the level of fat, the bad fat that is contained in such food. Now, when we say nutritional fact, like I have two nutritional facts here, one of dried catfish and one of dried fish. Don't mind me, this is what I do, so what I know so much about. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we see what is called serving size. So that serving size means that all the informations that you have, all the nutritional information is based on that amount of food. So for instance, this dried catfish, the serving size is 100 grams. That means everything in this nutritional fact is based on every 100 grams of dried catfish that we consume. So now this nutritional fact is telling us that when you consume 100 grams of dried catfish, you get 358 kilocalories from it. They are used interchangeably, either calories or kilocalories. And 71 kilocalories out of this is derived from the fat content of dried catfish. Then we have percentage daily value. Don't forget I talked about recommended dietary allowance before. And under those recommended dietary allowance, there are several values that are recommended for each category of nutrients. So now this percentage is how much of the particular nutrient that your body needs. Like for instance, this fat is 7.8 grams. This is saying that the 7.8 gram fat in this 100 grams of dried catfish is giving you 20% of the required fat that your body needs in it on a daily basis. Are we getting it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So it's giving you 12% of the required fat. So which means you still need another means of getting the remaining 88%.
80%.
So, and out of this total fat, 1.8 grams saturates. That is, the unsaturated fat in this total fat is 6. And by way of research and recommendation, it is recommended that whenever you want to take any food product, the saturated fat content should not be, the percentage daily value of the saturated fat should not be more than 10%.
Okay.
Are we together?
Yes, sir.
So these are where this thing can guide us in helping us make conscious decisions, particularly those of us that are used to junks, that buy food, different things. So let's try to, because we need to run away from this bad fat, and we need to watch our sugar intakes. And this tells us, so if you need 2,500 calories a day, and from eating one food, you have already gotten 358 calories, you have an idea of the other food you eat, how many calories you will get from them when you eat it. So when you want to eat rice and beans and this, you are kind of, in your mind, you're already understanding, okay, I should get protein from this, I should get carbohydrate from this, okay, from the pepper, I should get some vitamins and minerals. So this is the consciousness that we need to get to, like, let's just be conscious of what we take in. And probably maybe when you want to eat some particular food, is there a way you can process it so that you get rid of some unwanted fats from meat? Like when you boil your meat, some of us will still pour the water inside our soup. And this water already contains bad fat. What about if we can just allow that water to go with all the bad fats? Sometimes if you will notice after some time, this meat water used to clog even our pipes, that it will cause blockage in the pipe. So how much more our body? Then we can see on this nutrition file, we see sodium, 518 milligrams. So it's telling us that you get 518 milligrams of sodium from 100 grams of dried catfish. But that 518 milligrams is 22% of the required amount of sodium that is needed by the body on a daily basis. Let's look at the protein. We see protein is 70.9 grams. That is, out of 100 grams of dried catfish, 70.9 grams is protein. And that is giving you more than 100% of the required protein on a daily basis. So this is the way we interpret our nutritional factor when we see it. And like they said, this percentage daily value is based on 2,000 calorie diet. So which means you may have to increase it. If your own calorie requirement is about 2,500 calories, you may have to do some mathematical calculation. You remember all those in mathematics that we used to do, cross multiply.
Yes.
So if 2,000, I need for 2,000 calories of diet, let's say if I need, let's say I need 142%, this 142% and this 17.9 grams, that tells me that the requirement that I need is about 50 grams of protein daily based on 2,000 kilocalorie diet. So if I'm actually supposed to be taking 2,500, how many amount of protein do I need? This is where application of all the mathematics we used to run away comes in. Because I see some people run away from mathematics, and I will even tell carpenters that see the maths you are running away from, it has haunted you now. Yes, because the time I call the carpenter to come and do net for me, and he cannot calculate exactly how many thyroids he's going to use. And I said, see the mass you have running away from. That you know the length of thyroids in the market, that okay, the length of thyroid is, let's say, 10 feet or 12 feet. When we have measured all the things, all the places we want to use thyroid with, we know the perimeters. Let's add all the perimeters together. It gives us a number of feet. Then we divide the number of feet by 12 feet, which is the standard size of a thyroid. Then it can give us at least a almost near perfect estimate of how many thyroids that we need. But the mathematics now is too hard to run away from it. So these are life applications of nutritional fact. So I know a lot of us will be asking the question that, how about foods that don't have, like the ones we buy in the open market, like rice, gari, please give me an example. Yam, yam flour, ilubo. How do we know the nutritional content of this?
Tomato, pepper.
Yeah, so when I'm sending this slide to the organizers, I'm going to be sending a PDF document. That PDF document was worked upon by a lot of dietitians and nutritionists in West Africa. So, and it contains the nutritional information of almost 90, in fact, more than 90% of the foods that we are familiar with in West Africa. So talk about gari, you find it there. Talk about flour, you find it there. Almost all the kind of foods that we have, you find their nutritional information. So you can just take it, the point of duty to be checking it from time to time. Just check through. It's very plenty, about 170 pages, because those foods are just plenty. So you just need to look for some foods that you normally used to eat and try to at least know what the nutritional content is. You should focus more on the ones that are more like the nutrients that are more in a particular food. Like I know that dried catfish now, this one is a major source of protein. I know that rice is a major source of carbohydrates. So I may not really have to be doing too much of mathematics every day, but I'm just conscious whenever I'm eating that, have I eaten enough balance of this food today? Have I taken a good serving of rice, vegetable, fruits? But your body doesn't recognize all those things as fruit and vegetables, so it recognizes them based on the nutrients it is supplying to the body. So as long as you can find a source of those nutrients, it's not necessarily like you must take fruit. If you can get vitamin, if you cannot get food to get vitamins for, you can get tinuero and still get vitamins from tinuero. I don't even communicate.
Yes, sir.
So that's the juicy part of this. So at this point, I would like to entertain questions.
Okay, if anybody has any question, please, there's a reaction icon down your screen. You can just raise your hand from there. But I think Ayodeji has a question. Please, can you ask a question? I'll mute you now. Just ask a question.
At last. Thank you for unmuting me. All right. Thank you very much for the powerful presentation. Probably, I think I came a bit late. I don't know the name. Thank you very much. I'm very, very grateful. But I need clarification in one or two areas.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the first area, you lay so much emphasis on good fats, bad fats, and the likes, and That is very, very important. So my first question is coming from that angle. I
Okay.
will be citing an example. For instance, now we have some foods that they contain we call them like high fat diets. They have a
Yes.
lot of fat, and we have some that are polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, and we have some that are saturated. And from the presentation, you made it clear that saturated fats they are
Bad fat.
bad fat. Now, my question is, researchers made us to understand that this saturated fat, it contains a lot of acids. We have, especially I'll be laying emphasis on the lauric acid. We have the lauric acid, we have the oleic acid, we have the caprylic acid, we have a lot of them. But researchers have confirmed for us that all these saturated fats, diets that have saturated fat, and they possesses this lauric acid. They have a lot of this lauric acid. So researchers made us to understand that, although it's a kind of conflicting, I don't really understand that it is, they are not bad. When they have a larger percent of lauric acid, especially lauric acid, I will cite an example now. For instance, this coconut oil.
Okay.
We have some people that use coconut oil to fry something. They use it to fry egg. They use it to fry a lot of things. And some researchers confirmed to us that it's a very good because it contains about 50% of lauric acid, despite the fact that it is saturated. So despite the fact that it's saturated fat, they made us to understand that we can derive a lot of benefit from it because of that lauric acid. So my first question is, how can we draw that decline? And then we can get to that point and say, oh, these saturated fats, not generalizing it that all saturated fats are bad. That, okay, this fat that has this composition of lauric acid, can we classify them as some scientists have made us to know that, oh, these ones are good, they are not so bad? Or should we just run away from all diets that are having a lot of saturated fats? So that's my first question. Now, the second question is that there is a field in nutrition these days that they refer to as they call it nutrigenomics or nutrigenetics.
Okay.
That is nutrition having influence on genetic makeup.
Okay.
Now, I don't know, probably you can just help us to just shed a light that probably we have some foods that we can eat and then it can influence our genetic makeup. It can make us to have a very good genetic composition, or probably, when we are talking about genetics now, it is transferable. You can transfer it to the next generation. I just want a kind of clarification on that too. I think
Okay,
with that,
quickly,
I'm
I
okay.
will answer the first question on the issue of fats. Like you talked about the lauric acid. Now, it's those of us that are into nutrition that have a very good understanding of this. So it's not to say like saturated fats are totally bad, but to a layman, let me say it's bad, because a layman will not be able to understand all these difference we are putting. The issue of saturation and unsaturation for those of us in the nutrition field is about the way they are structured chemically, where they have the presence of some of the things that make them to, where they have the presence of fatty acids and the presence of some particular types of bonds, like of the double bond, the triple bonds, and the like. If you go back to hydrocarbon, we understand all this balance. Like for instance, the family where we have the hydrocarbon called benzene, the fact that it's not usually stable, the bond is always moving around. So and so these differences are not visible to the layman. They are not even for those of us that are knowledgeable, they are not visible unless we take it through some technological processes like using microscope and so many analysis to detect that, okay, this thing contains this thing doesn't contain this. Oh, so it's like my system is going down. So I'll quickly try to rush up. So the best way, in order to avoid issues and to avoid misleading people, because if you tell people that they should move 1 meter, trust me, people can move 100 meters. So the best bet to preach is just to tell them to avoid saturated, it's also avoid saturated fats. Of course, I don't really like to tell people not to eat one thing or not to eat the other. Like if we are particularly eating a particular food, and this is left to those of us in the food processing industry, that is there a way we can process a particular food and get and extract the good part of it that is good for the body and get rid of the bad part of it. So these are things that in the food processing industry that everyone will still be looking at, but not like discarding the food completely. Just like once they, because meat contains bad fat, saturated fat, now we will no longer eat it. And this is where the place of meat trimming comes into place, which is a way of processing meat. So I don't know if I did justice to your question, and I gave a very good scenario that there's, for a layman, there's just a very easy way to know good fat and bad fat. Any fat that is sleeping, run away from it. That sleeps at room temperature, all those ororo. I'm trying to come to our local level. The ones we come in contact with, butter and margarine, all those things, they sleep. And the same way they sleep, they will sleep in your body. The body may be able to metabolize the lauric acid, but you know the problem of saturated fats, trans fat, and cholesterol is about the body not being able to metabolize some aspect of it, and those things will cause problem in the body. So that's where the issue comes in. Now, if I remember the second question, it's around nutrigenetics. The role of nutrition on forming genetical composition in the body. Well, I think if we can just live a lifestyle of eating a balanced diet, because you see, for those families that used to say they are obese, it must mean that probably some of their ancestors have been probably used to eating fatty food, so that the body has been so used to it and it has influenced the genetic composition. Don't forget that I said that every food that we eat is like an information we are giving to the body. And those information goes down to our cells, to our nucleus, where we have the genes, where we have the chromosome. So and when your body is used to a particular type of thing, at a point in time, it becomes almost the same with that thing. Like the Yorubas used to say that so just like what I talked about, avoiding simple added sugars like Coke and the like. I said at a point in time, if you are the type that you can't do without Coke in it, all you do is drink Coke, drink Coke, drink Coke. The insulin in your body will become too familiar with insulin, too used to insulin, that it will not even see what's it called, other complex sugars as sugars in the body that it needs to take action on. I'll give a very good analogy. Hey God, this thing just wants to hang in my head. I wanted to give a perfect analogy to explain that now. Okay, a good example is antivirus in the computer. Now, when you don't update your antivirus in the computer, at the point in time, you see that the antivirus will no longer be detecting virus. It will actually be calling what is not virus a virus. It has become so used to the virus that it doesn't see it as a virus again. It now sees the things that are not virus in your system as virus, and you should keep shouting, there's a virus in your system, there's a virus, even when there's no virus in your system. So that's the same way our body, our genetics forms up over time based on the kind of nutrition we do. So for our coming children, the best bet we can also do as individuals, as youth now, is to watch the kind of foods we eat so that they don't affect our genetic composition, so that it gives problem to people, our offspring that are likely going to give birth to, because these foods are information. Whether we like it or not, it will have one way or the other, it affects our genetical composition, chromosomes in our gene. I don't know if I did justice to your question, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
think okay.
Thank you very much, sir. I think we have to round up here. It's getting late for some of us that have to do other things. So to everybody that came today, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. And tomorrow we're talking about personal hygiene. We'll be focusing on dental, that's oral hygiene, basically. Okay, just in case, he's going to send us some slides and a document. I'll send it to our emails. Please, if you have not registered, kindly do so. Go and register to your emails. And I have other things I'll send to your emails also. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for coming so much. I appreciate it. My name is Prosper Adebibo Badiola, and this is Wine Initiative. And I'm just right here. Emily.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming online today. I really appreciate your attendance. As we have stated earlier, we'll be focusing on oral hygiene tomorrow, and our instructor will be a dental doctor. So I would like us to come online early and also probably have our jotting materials around so that we'll be able to gather as much as we can in regards to taking care of our teeth and our mouth. So it's nice having you guys today. Thank you very much.
Okay, just in case you want to reach me, you can reach me on 081 60578035. I'll take that again. 081 60578035. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a beautiful night's rest. Bye.